Now, one of the rivers swollen by the flooding is the Danube, which passes through several major cities, including the Slovakian capital, Bratislava. The Danube burst its banks in the city earlier this week, rising almost 8 metres above its usual level. Mobile barriers managed to save much of the historic centre, but officials said tram lines and the city zoo had been damaged. The water is expected to slowly decrease in coming days, although there are concerns about further rainfall and possible snow melt as well. Well, journalist Victoria Belova joins us now from the Slovak capital, Bratislava. Welcome to you. It's been hectic there. What's the situation now in Bratislava?
Hi, from Bratislava. I'm standing next to the La Franconi bridge. In front of me, behind me, there is basically city center already. So the Danube River in Bratislava has already culminated. It reached 967 centimeters, and on this night, on Wednesday night, it was up to 9.8 meters, so very, very high. Several parts were reopened already in the center of Bratislava. The old town closed them as after heavy rains, after which thousands of trees fell in the city and others were threatened to fall, even healthy trees because of the soil and so on. The flood protection was luckily installed already on Monday, so the city should be stabilized by now. But still, some parts of the city are in dangerous conditions. For example, Tiršovo nábřežie, it's on the other side of the river, just there. And it's basically used like a beach during the summer. People used to hang out there, drink beer, and it's at the moment completely under the water. Also, still very complicated conditions are in Dienická Nová Ves, which is part of the city, but outside of the city. Two rivers are pumping to each other, the Danube River and Morava. That is quite causing some damages and complications. But still, the level should rapidly sink first tomorrow. So now it's still very high and still very dangerous.
So is it right, Victoria, that the problem is not just the rain that falls there and will fall there? What is the government saying about the water that's expected to flow into the country from Austria?
Yeah, right. So already a lot of amount of the water from Vienna has arrived to this part of the Danube, also from Germany. We are expecting maybe some more rise, but actually, as I said, it should fall down by tomorrow. The worst condition is in Budapest. They are expecting actually maybe even floods again.
Journalist Victoria Belova from the Slovak capital, Bratislava. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Poland's third largest city, Wrocław, is bracing itself for the rising waters. Here's what the mayor had to say to DW.
The meteorological situation, of course, matters. Firstly, it has stopped raining, and this applies not only to Wrocław, but also to the region. And secondly, the sun is shining. So on the one hand, the water can evaporate, and on the other, the hydrotechnical devices and, of course, the embankments have a chance to dry out a bit. They were subjected to high stress caused by the water. Even if the wave flattens at some point, the devices are working all the time. So the weather situation is good, and I hope that it will not change.
And it looks like things are looking good this morning as well. Marta Thor has been covering the floods for the past few days in the southwest of Poland and joins us from Wrocław. Marta, everything hinges on the weather, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. So the weather has been stable since Monday, which helps a lot to dry the embankments. And as we see now, the Odra River is not overflowing, but we still see quite a moderate stream and a lot of trees and stuff floating down the river. But the crucial parts are actually being secured. So this time, not like in 1997, the city seems to be more prepared. They're trying to concentrate on the places that could get dangerous for the people, but they're mostly not at the Odra River, but they're tributaries.
Okay, the destruction was widespread back in the 90s. How exhausting is this fight by volunteers to save their towns and cities?
The volunteers seem to be working night and day. So we've seen pictures and reports from volunteers around the embankments close to Wrocław, where they are securing the banks with sandbags, and they're doing it for 2 days consecutively now. And also the military is helping at the most crucial parts, the same as the fire department.
Everyone's joining in this effort. Marta, you spoke to the mayor of Wrocław. What is the government there advising people to do?
Stay off the banks, keep a little stash of water, and just be alert, because the big wave should be coming in Wrocław at least on late Thursday or Friday night. But in Oława and other cities I visited yesterday, the major flood will come today, and we've seen smaller villages that have been flooded already.
So evacuations are continuing, and is there clarity on,
Yes.
on when these rising waters are going to peak? Because there's been some confusion on social media, for example.
Yes, that's true. There's a lot of fake news happening, and the city is trying to keep control of information, always giving support to the people. There are no major evacuations in the city of Wrocław, but in smaller villages, some of them have been abandoned already. And the situation is very dynamic. So everyone is supposed to check the information and just keep alert, which is the most important thing right now.
Thanks for reporting, Marta Thor in Wrocław for us. So far, Germany has been spared the worst effects of the downpours, but floodwaters from neighbouring countries are steadily moving across the border. The eastern city of Dresden is preparing as the Elbe River steadily rises. The river level has reached 6 metres, putting some districts, roads and railway lines at risk of inundation. Mobile flood protection walls are being installed to protect the historic centre. DW reporter Franziska Wüst joins us from Dresden in eastern Germany. Welcome. What's the situation in Dresden right now where you are?
Yeah, actually, I can tell you kind of good news from Dresden, and they are that the situation here is not as bad as in other European countries like Poland or Romania, as we saw in the report. But still, today in the morning, authorities actually have issued the second highest alert level here. That means the water level rose up until 6.5 meters. That means for the residents here that roads and railways and actually built-up cities could be affected by the floods. But yesterday I had the chance to talk to the fire department, a spokesperson, and he told me that they have the feeling that they have the situation under control and they feel well prepared. But the city is close to the Elbe River, which I'm standing next to here actually. So they are used to high water levels. And I talked to some Dresden residents yesterday who experienced the historic floods in 2002 and 2013. And one old lady told me that she was harshly affected in 2002, and she really seemed traumatized by these events and now is reminded of the events 22 years ago when her cellar was full of water. So, yeah, it's many residents actually still remember these events now.
Only a few days before the torrential rains brought the rising water levels, and we can see it behind you, the Carola Bridge partially collapsed into the river. Has that had any effect on preparations to defend the city?
Yeah, exactly. First of all, the collapse of this quite big bridge was a shocking experience for many people here, and now it actually became quite a touristic thing, because here in front of me there are people taking pictures of the bridge. But when this bridge collapsed, it was in the middle of the night. Authorities, the fire department, they all knew that water masses would come from the Czech Republic and hit the city here, so they were afraid of the rubble because they were afraid of even more rising water levels. But actually what they did is they did everything they could. The fire department worked together with several also national aid organizations to salvage here the parts of the bridge, and now the water level only rises approximately 30 centimeters more.
The latest there from DW reporter Franziska Wüst in Dresden. Thank you.